Hello everyone, welcome to another video from Investing with a Difference. So we are going to today talk about markets as well as EOS, and our focus today is going to be again on how EOS ecosystem is evolving. But as I said, the market is going through a lot of turmoil, so we will start with that. So the key thing here, what is happening is that we have seen some large drops in Bitcoin price, and we are starting today with CoinMarketCap because there's a significant change happening in the way markets are behaving. So if you see here, the Bitcoin dominance has gone up to 51%. So let's look at it closely. And if you see that what is happening here is, let's look at 1 year chart. And very recently, as we talked about in one of the previous videos, so a lot of money is going into Bitcoin while altcoins are suffering. And if you compare it with maybe, let's say last year around a similar time frame, and if you look at it, we had very similar behavior around June to almost October. We had a very big jump in Bitcoin dominance from 41% to 59%. And that is very similar behavior we are seeing here. That is a build up to Bitcoin dominance, which is really driving this market right now. And a lot of altcoins are really going low, as you can see. And I think including EOS, I think everything is suffering. So you can see that we are now around $5, and at one point we were at $4.80 on EOS, which is pretty low. And I think it's a very good opportunity if you want to buy, but I understand that a lot of people are suffering right now because they've already bought a lot of EOS, believing in it and for right reasons, of course. But the concern here is that what is going to happen, and we need to keep monitoring how this market behaves. Now let's have a quick look at the chart of Bitcoin. So it's jumping again in last few hours. We can see that the this green candle today. And if we look closely, let's look at the 1 hour chart. And we had a huge volume which came in, I think a couple of hours back, and it is really taking it back into 6400 zone, which is a good sign, I think, because we are not forming a lower low again. And so if let's go back to the 1 day chart, and as I mentioned previously, there's a good base around $6,000 and worst case $5,800. If we are able to maintain above these lows, I think there's a chance that we can survive this down move. But overall, it's not looking good. Even though we had this jump in last few hours, we are still need to cross the 6,600, 6,700 area, and ideally 6,800. We have to go back above this line to sustain this move. And as you know, that 200-day moving average is continuously coming down. That is the ultimate resistance, where we have come down 3 times from that. If you see here, we have this move and this move. All of these came back down from 200-day moving average. So that is the biggest resistance Bitcoin is going to face. Now, what is happening in general? I think there's another news which has hit the markets in the currencies, is the Turkish lira, which has plunged big on Friday. And this is after the Trump administration has deployed these additional tariffs. And what is happening is the Turkish government is asking people to go and buy more lira. Now, this is not something which anybody would do, right? Means if you are um, a, a person living in a country where your currency is diving because of external factors, there's a good chance that you will not really listen to your president and say, oh, I should invest in something which is going down. Why not just buy something which is more stable, like, and keep something like gold or Bitcoin? And these are the conditions under which Bitcoin has usually thrived previously when other countries have faced this kind of issues. So I think I'm not sure if this jump today, which we saw a few hours back, uh, whether it's short covering. There's a good chance that it's short covering because it stayed around this area where people were really short. But there can be a good reason that maybe this kind of buying is coming from Turkey or any other places where people are getting concerned about their currency stability. So overall, as you know, Bitcoin is very limited. It's one of the only currencies which is limited in amount, and more visibility is coming to Bitcoin because of multiple reasons. So I'm not concerned about the basic fundamentals of Bitcoin. This is more about the technicals of where do we get a bottom. And right now, of course, the charts are not looking good. So let's go back now to EOS. But before that, one more thing I would like to talk about is the Tether. So this is a news which got my attention that Tether supply has fallen for like it's very rarely that Tether supply has fallen. And what happened today, we are monitoring this chart, and the Trust Nodes has published this article that people are moving into fiat. So this is actually a sign of absolute pessimism that even though there's a lot of inflow of money coming into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies from various institutional investors and the big investors, as we have been covering, but because the tether is one of the currency which is used by exchanges to keep the supplies when people are just holding on to buy later. But now, when the tether supply falling means that people are converting into fiat. Of course, I'm assuming that tether is all good. They are not really manipulating anything, which has been discussed many times. So if we just take it on face value, what it suggests is that this is really an absolute pessimistic time frame, just like what we saw earlier in around May, June time frame. And now I think this can lead into a recovery once we reach that kind of a point where people are really, the weak hands are moving out. Usually that's when the bottoms are formed. So this is one thing which we will keep looking at, how far this tether volumes drop and the market cap drops, and how this impacts the market. So now let's look at EOS news. So what is happening in EOS world? So of course, everybody has been following this news about Everipedia, and Everipedia has now finally gone live using EOS blockchain. And till now, I think everybody has already received the airdrop, and but they were not fully utilizing EOS blockchain. And now you will see every transaction. That means every time somebody edits a document on Everipedia, that will be going on EOS blockchain. So this is the first big application which is now live on EOS network, which is a great news because this is something which we need. We need more and more dApps coming and using EOS network, and not just using it for, like, the scams or whatever we are seeing in terms of the stress tests, which are mostly dominating uh, currently most of the transactions on the EOS network. So one more thing I would like to show is the blocktivity. Of course, we are right now topping the charts, and one thing which people are highlighting is now EOS represents more than 50% of the transactions across every other blockchain. Excuse me. And the 10 million record, which was broken recently, with the 24-hour transactions, more than 10 million transactions in a day. This is one of the key thing which is there to highlight. But sustaining almost 8 million, or in the average almost 8 million over last 7 days, I think this is a great sign, and this is definitely going to keep increasing as we see more and more apps coming, like Everipedia, as we talked about. Again, I would like to apologize for my voice. I think it's going really bad in last few days. So I hope that yeah, I can still make sense while I'm still trying to cover rest of this video. What else is happening? So Higher Vibes. So Higher Vibes is one of the dApps, which is kind of a LinkedIn kind of a application on EOS. So what is critical about this news from Higher Vibes is that they are going to use the new snapshot. So a lot of people who are joining EOS after the mainnet launch, or people who kept their tokens on exchanges, they are now going to see that if they now have their tokens in their wallets, and if they can keep these tokens, I think you don't need to register. What people are asking is, um, can I get this new airdrops if I was not on the Genesis snapshot? And this is something which is changing now with this first dApp, which is going to deliver EOS airdrops using the latest account status. So what they are also publishing here is that what are the number of accounts? So when the Genesis snapshot was taken, there were 183,500 accounts, and 163,930 were registered. So now, when they took the snapshot on 8th of August, they are able to see 282,511 accounts, which is a huge increase in number of accounts, almost 100,000 increase. And all these people, they are either they were holding the tokens in exchanges or they never owned any EOS. Now they will be able to get this airdrops, and that is going to create a new demand for EOS tokens, because now, till now, um, people who did not own EOS on the Genesis snapshot, they had no real benefit of buying EOS from the airdrop perspective. So this is one big positive, I would say, and we would like to thank the people who are helping this, especially Higher Vibes team who have taken this initiative. If you remember, we covered this in a video, I think a few days back, when we showed you the EOS New York tool to start taking snapshots, and we had appealed to all the dApp developers to go and use this new snapshots, and we are very happy that Higher Vibes team is doing that. So it's a very, very important news. I hope more and more dApps follow their example and use latest snapshot, because we don't want people who have exited EOS or who are not, like, for example, the people who are new, they should be receiving the benefits who are currently on EOS, and not the people who held it on Genesis snapshot only. What else is happening? So this is another thing we want to cover, that is the referendum implementation. So this is basically a referendum system which multiple block producers are working on. EOS Nation is leading this, and we are pretty happy to cover this, because I think this is one of the key thing which will need a lot of involvement by EOS community, and the referendums will be needed for any big changes which are going to happen to EOS code or EOS systems. So while, as you know, that many of the changes in the system contract are being done by block producers, and if 15 block producers are voting out of 21, you have already seen the changes in the RAM increase proposal and some other proposals. But when we talk about some bigger changes, for example, adopting the Constitution 2.0 or any other things which will impact the policies, we will need referendum systems. And this is a great initiative, because till now there was no referendum system which you can use to vote. And so what is happening now is they have already started working on it, and they're already looking at testing this model where they can do a vote. They were trying to store the vote so that it's easy to see the vote, and look at what is the status of the vote on the chain. And this is a pretty good idea, I think. Ultimately, of course, it has to be voted by block producers to be accepted. So every change, even if the referendum passes, ultimately the top block producers, who are the producing nodes, out of 21, 15 have to approve it for any change to be effective. That's the basic requirement. But I think it's a great thing that people are going to be able to vote on bigger changes like constitution adoption and other things. And we would like to thank all the people from these block producers who are taking the initiative. So what we see here is that Gremas is working with EOS Nation, EOS Canada, and many other people who are responsible for bringing this forward. So I think it's a great thing, and we look forward to how things develop from here. Um, so what else is happening? I would say that mostly currently, I think EOS is going along fine in terms of the blockchain itself. The key things here are that dApps are coming forward. We are seeing that the new development is continuously happening. New snapshots are being taken. So this will take everything into account, and I think the EOS will improve. So let us have a look at EOS charts. And as I highlighted earlier, in the dollar terms, I think around $7 was a critical support which was broken, and that's led to a big collapse in EOS price. I think right now the only chance we are looking at is the previous lows around $4.50, which we hit in March. and we became very close to that. We have touched $4.80. But I think if the market conditions remain bearish, I would look at us somewhere around $4.50 to be the bottom, because that will really uh, be will bring a lot of fundamental investors. Because as we have been talking about the EOS ecosystems in some previous videos, I think EOS is one of the big blockchain right now, which can really scale real world use cases. Now, one thing I would like to highlight is while EOS in dollar terms and Bitcoin terms has been falling, um, EOS versus Ethereum is actually kind of stable and in fact improving in last couple of days. Ethereum is suffering quite a lot, but my challenge is that we have fallen below the 200-day moving average over there. But I would like to see us crossing back above 200-day moving average on EOS Ethereum chart, because I think Ethereum is really struggling right now. So if we go to the coin market cap, Ethereum, the reason why Bitcoin dominance is 51%, because Ethereum has really struggled to catch up, and it's not improving even when the Bitcoin is jumping up. We are not seeing Ethereum uh, catching up as fast. So the challenges Ethereum is facing, I think this is the opportunity for EOS to go and really show that it is capable of replacing Ethereum as a platform which is scalable, which is fast, and which can really make real world use cases happen. And as we see that market matures, as you see that more and more institutional funds come in, I'm sure they will look at these fundamental differences, and we will start seeing ultimately some kind of difference in performance. Like most of these coins are correlated right now, but as you see that Bitcoin is now kind of getting ahead of altcoins, at some point the other fundamentally good altcoins will start performing better. And that's what my expectation is with more and more institutional money coming in. While one more thing I want to talk about is I think I don't have any page to show for that, is the new announcement, which was from ICE a week back. I think a lot of people are ignoring that. People are talking about ETFs, and that's a Bakkt platform. So maybe let me search. It should be easy to find information on Bakkt on Google. So you must have seen the stories that New York Stock Exchange owner is bringing Bitcoin to 401k, or they talk about Bakkt platform working with Starbucks, working with Microsoft. So I was digging into it more, and one of the Medium posts from the Bakkt itself, that is the CEO of Bakkt, which is the new um, kind of a system they're trying to create. Even though it is very exciting, I'm just waiting for it to be approved, because I don't think they are right now approved. If you look at this, one of the comments here, they are saying subject to CFTC review and approval. And this is going to be huge if they are able to get this approved and make it a clearinghouse for Bitcoin, and really apply Bitcoin into applications like Starbucks. And this is something I would say is much bigger than what they're talking about in terms of ETFs. So I kind of agree with all the hype around that, but I would like to see it approved. And but I think the kind of uh, people who are coming together, because we're talking about Microsoft, Starbucks, and BCG, and also you need to understand that this company is backed by the New York Stock Exchange owner, that is ICE, and these are huge operators. They are really big in the finance world, and they can really make a difference. I would say this can be huge for Bitcoin, and we should all be excited about it and look forward to what is going to happen. And this is one of the reasons I think fundamentally everything is looking good. It's more about sentiments, it's more about people panicking, which is taking this market lower and lower. And I'm not sure about other coins. What I can say is that I'm pretty positive on Bitcoin as well as EOS, because this is where I see the real value is in terms of the visibility, in terms of branding. I think Bitcoin is one of the topmost currency, and it will always be so. While in terms of usability and a platform for developing decentralized applications, I think there is nothing which can beat EOS at this moment. So that is my take on it. Again, It is not a financial advice. I understand that a lot of people are suffering right now, and you have to manage your own risks. Please invest only the amount which you can lose, because the markets are unpredictable, very volatile, and cryptocurrencies are not the place where you keep all your retirement funds. So because this can be very, very unpredictable. So that is my warning before we close this video. And all the best to people who are really excited about what is happening in blockchain world, and specifically on EOS. So thanks again, guys, and I will be back in US, I think middle of next week, and hopefully my voice will recover and I can do some better videos with better tools available when I'm back home. Thanks a lot for joining and showing the patience with this video, and thank you. Bye bye.